The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Most operators spent their time watching endless streams of data, looking for anything unusual in the vast darkness of space. But tonight was different. John sat up straight in his chair, his eyes fixed on the reading before him. He blinked twice, making sure he wasn't seeing things after his fourth cup of coffee. The energy signature was unlike anything he had ever seen before. "Sir," he called out to his supervisor, Mike, who was doing his routine walkthrough of the facility. "You need to see this." Mike walked over, his boots making soft sounds against the polished floor. He leaned over John's shoulder, coffee mug in hand, and nearly dropped it when he saw the readings. "How long has this been showing up?" Mike asked, putting his mug down on the desk. "About 10 minutes. It's at the edge of our solar system, just past Neptune's orbit. The signature is massive, like nothing in our database." Mike didn't waste any time. Within minutes, the station was alive with activity. Confirmation calls went out to other monitoring stations around the globe. The energy signature was real, and it was exactly where John had spotted it. 3 hours later, Captain Tom Walker of the UES Horizon stood in Earth Space Command's main briefing room. The Horizon was humanity's most advanced rescue vessel, built to handle deep space emergencies. Walker had rescued stranded miners from the Mars colonies and helped repair damaged stations around Jupiter. But this was different. "Captain," General Roberts said, pointing to the large screen behind him, "what you're looking at is a fleet of ships, approximately 50 vessels, completely powered down and drifting through space. They're not ours." The room fell silent. Walker studied the grainy images captured by their long-range telescopes. The ships were elegant, with smooth curves unlike the bulky human vessels. They were clearly built by an advanced civilization. "Your orders are simple," the general continued. "Take the Horizon out there and investigate. If there are survivors, help them. If not, we need to know what happened. This is first contact, Captain. Don't mess it up." Walker nodded, his mind already running through the mission checklist. "How long until we can launch?" 2 hours. Your crew is being notified now." The Horizon lived up to its reputation as Earth's fastest rescue ship. Within 6 hours of launch, they were approaching the mysterious fleet. Up close, the alien ships were even more impressive. The largest was about 3 times the size of the Horizon, its hull covered in what looked like crystalline panels. "No response to any of our greeting signals," reported Bill, the communications officer. "I've tried all frequencies, even light signals. Nothing." Walker stood at the bridge window, studying the fleet. They were arranged in a perfect formation, despite being completely powered down. This wasn't a random drift. They had shut down in an organized manner. "Dr. Reed," Walker called to his chief engineer, "what are the readings telling us?" Lisa Reed was already analyzing the data streaming in from their sensors. "The ships have minimal power, barely enough to maintain basic systems. No signs of hull damage or combat. Whatever happened, it wasn't an attack." "But these energy readings, Captain, they're using technology we've never seen before." Walker made his decision. "Prep the boarding team. We'll start with the largest ship, likely their flagship. Full environmental suits until we confirm it's safe. Dr. Reed, you're with me. Bill, keep trying those signals. The moment anything changes, I want to know." As the boarding team prepared in the airlock, Walker looked out at the alien fleet one more time. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries. First contact with an alien civilization. But no one had expected it to happen like this, with a mysterious fleet appearing on their doorstep, silent and powerless. "Ready, Captain," Dr. Reed said, checking her suit's seals one last time. Walker nodded. "Remember everyone, we're not just exploring. We're here to help. Whatever happened to them, we're going to fix it. That's what humanity does best." The airlock door opened, and humanity took its first steps toward a future no one could have predicted. The boarding team's magnetic boots clicked against the alien ship's metal floor as they entered through the emergency airlock. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness, revealing long corridors with smooth, curved walls. The air was still, and their footsteps echoed in the empty space. "Atmosphere readings coming in," Dr. Reed said, checking her instruments. "This is incredible. The air composition is almost exactly like Earth's. Nitrogen, oxygen, just slightly more carbon dioxide. Temperature is a bit cool, but well within human comfort range." Walker nodded, but kept his helmet on. "Let's not take any chances yet. Bill, how's our signal back to the horizon?" "Clear and strong, Captain. These walls seem to conduct radio waves better than ours do." The team moved deeper into the ship, following what appeared to be main corridors. Everything was built with a flowing, organic design that made Earth's ships look clunky and primitive in comparison. Despite being powered down, faint strips of light pulsed along the floors, leading them forward. "Emergency guidance systems," Dr. Reed said, pointing to the lights. "They're directing us somewhere, probably to their bridge or control center." After 10 minutes of walking, they entered a vast circular chamber. Their lights revealed rows upon rows of transparent pods lining the walls, stretching up at least 3 stories high. Each pod contained a humanoid figure, sleeping peacefully. "Cryostasis chambers," Dr. Reed breathed, moving closer to examine one. "Hundreds of them, and they're still active, running on emergency power." The beings inside the pods were surprisingly similar to humans in basic shape, though taller and more slender. Their skin had a slight bluish tint, and their features were elegant and symmetrical. They appeared to be sleeping peacefully, unaware of their ship's predicament. Walker approached what looked like a control station in the center of the room. As soon as he got close, holographic displays flickered to life, powered by the emergency systems. Strange symbols floated in the air before them. "The computer's still working," Bill said, pulling out their translation device. "Give me a few minutes to feed this into our system." While Bill worked, Dr. Reed checked the pod status. "These stasis chambers are incredible, Captain. They use almost no power, but they're keeping these beings in perfect suspension. The bad news is the emergency power supply is running low. I'd estimate maybe 3 days left before it fails completely." The translation device beeped, and alien text began converting into English before their eyes. "Got it," Bill said proudly. "They call themselves the Meridians. This is their primary colony ship, carrying about 5,000 colonists. The rest of the fleet has similar numbers." "Can you access their logs?" Walker asked. "We need to know what happened to them." Bill worked the controls carefully. The last entry was made by their captain. They were testing a new form of faster-than-light travel, something called a quantum drive. It worked perfectly at first, but then something went wrong. The drive drained all their main power, forcing them to shut down everything except life support and put their people into emergency stasis. "What about their engineering data?" Dr. Reed asked, already thinking about solutions. "If we can understand their technology, maybe we can help." More displays appeared, showing complex diagrams and specifications. Dr. Reed's eyes widened as she studied them. "This is amazing. Their theoretical science is way ahead of ours, but their practical engineering is different. They focused so much on efficiency and elegance that they didn't build in enough redundancy or backup systems. That's why they couldn't recover from the drive failure." Walker looked at the sleeping Meridians in their pods. "Can we help them?" Dr. Reed was quiet for a moment, running calculations in her head. "Their technology is more advanced than ours, but we might be able to adapt our fusion power systems to work with their ships. It won't be elegant, but it might be enough to wake them up and get their systems running again." "How long do we have?" 3 days before the emergency power fails. After that, we lose them all." Walker pressed his radio button. "Horizon, this is the boarding team. We're going to need every engineer we can get, and tell Earth to send help. We've got 50 ships full of sleeping aliens to save, and not much time to do it. The rescue operation was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy what they could do. The next 12 hours on the Meridian flagship were a blur of activity. Earth had responded to Walker's call for help with impressive speed. 3 more rescue ships had already arrived, bringing engineers and equipment. More were on the way. Dr. Reed sat at a makeshift workstation, surrounded by holographic displays showing both human and Meridian technical data. She hadn't slept since they'd found the fleet, running on coffee and determination. "Look at this," she said as Walker brought her another cup. She pointed to the alien text scrolling across one screen. They were running from something terrible. A chain of stars in their home system went supernova. Not just one star, 6 of them, one after another. They'd barely had time to evacuate their planets. Walker leaned in to study the data. How many did they save? About 200,000 people spread across these 50 ships, all they could fit in the time they had. She rubbed her tired eyes. They were headed to a colony site they'd found, but the quantum drive failure left them stranded here. The ship's emergency lights flickered briefly, making everyone in the room look up nervously. They were getting more frequent, a sign that the power systems were becoming unstable. "Time check," Walker called out to the room full of engineers. 58 hours until complete power failure," Bill responded, not looking up from his work. "If we're going to save them, we need to figure this out fast." Dr. Reed stood up and walked to the main display board they'd set up. It showed a diagram of both human and Meridian power systems. The problem isn't just power, it's compatibility. Their systems are too advanced for direct power transfer. It's like trying to charge a computer with lightning. We need to find a way to step down our energy output to match their needs. Just then, Pete Douglas, the veteran engineer from the second rescue ship, burst into the room. "Dr. Reed, you need to see this. We found something in their engine room." The discovery was a game changer. Hidden behind panels of what looked like crystal were convergent matrices, devices designed to take raw energy and transform it into the specific type of power the Meridians used. These were part of their quantum drive system, Dr. Reed explained to Walker, her excitement growing. "They're meant to handle massive amounts of energy, if we can adapt them." "Can we use them?" Walker asked, watching the emergency lights flicker again. "Maybe, but we'll need more power than any one of our ships can provide. Much more." Walker didn't hesitate. He contacted Earth Space Command immediately. Within an hour, the response came. Every available ship in the solar system was being diverted to their location. Mining operations on Mars were temporarily shutting down to free up their fusion cores. Even the moon base was redirecting power from its backup systems. "It's still not enough," Dr. Reed said, looking at the calculations. "Even with all that power, we can only save maybe 10 ships. We need something else." That's when Bill, who had been quiet for hours, spoke up. "What if we don't power them all at once? What if we wake them up in groups?" The room fell silent as everyone considered this. Dr. Reed's fingers flew across her tablet, running new calculations. That could work. We power up one ship at a time, wake up its crew, then use their help to wake the next ship. Their engineers would understand their own systems better than we do. "How many could we save in the first group?" Walker asked. "With the power we have coming, maybe 2,000 people. It would drain everything we've got, but it would give us a chance to save the rest." Walker looked around the room at the tired faces of his crew and the other engineers. They'd been working nonstop, pushing themselves to the limit. The flickering emergency lights reminded them that time was running out. "Do it," he ordered. "Pick the first ship and let's start rigging up the power transfer. We've got 57 hours to pull off the biggest rescue mission in human history." The race against time had begun, and failure wasn't an option. Humanity was about to show what they could accomplish when pushed to their limits. The space around the Meridian fleet had become crowded. 20 Earth ships now floated in formation, their fusion cores humming at maximum power. Teams of engineers worked to connect massive power cables between the vessels, creating a web of energy conduits that would channel their combined power into the first Meridian ship. Dr. Reed stood in the engine room of the chosen vessel, directing the installation of the makeshift power converter they'd built. It wasn't pretty. A combination of human technology and modified Meridian crystals held together with industrial brackets and emergency welding. But it didn't need to be pretty. It just needed to work. Final connections are ready. Pete called out from his position near the main power junction. We can start the transfer whenever you give the word. Walker's voice came through their radios. All ships report ready. Power levels at maximum. Dr. Reed, it's your call. She took a deep breath, looking at the jury-rigged system they'd created. Everything they knew said it should work, but they were attempting something never done before, combining human and alien technology to save thousands of lives. Start the power transfer, she ordered. 10% capacity. Energy began flowing through the cables. The Meridian crystals glowed softly, their color shifting from blue to green. Readings on their instruments started climbing. 20%, Dr. Reed called out. The ship's systems were accepting the power, converting it into something they could use. 30%. At 40%, the first problem hit. One of the power cables overheated, its safety systems automatically shutting it down. Alarms blared across 3 ships. Hold power levels, Dr. Reed shouted. Pete, status. Cable 4 is down, but the others are compensating. The circuit is holding. They waited tensely as the readings stabilized. The ship's emergency lights stopped flickering and grew stronger. More systems started coming online, responding to the steady flow of power. This is amazing, Bill said, watching the alien computer screens light up one by one. Their systems are accepting our power. We're actually doing it. Dr. Reed allowed herself a small smile. Increase power to 50%. Let's wake these people up. The next hour was intense. They slowly brought the ship's systems back to full power, carefully managing the energy flow from the Earth vessels. The stasis pods began their wake-up sequence, their occupants starting to stir for the first time in months. The first Meridian to wake was a tall, elegant being with silvery blue skin. The universal translator they'd prepared crackled to life as the alien spoke. I am Lead Engineer Root, the Meridian said, looking around in confusion at the human technology now attached to their ship. What has happened to our fleet? Dr. Reed stepped forward. Your quantum drive failed during your journey. You've been drifting in space, running on emergency power. We found you just in time. Root's large eyes widened as understanding dawned. You modified our power systems to save us. But the technological gap, the conversion requirements. We didn't have time to worry about elegance, Pete said with a grin. We just had to make it work. More Meridians were waking up now, their expressions a mixture of confusion and amazement, as they saw what the humans had done to save them. Root moved to inspect the power converter, studying the combination of human and Meridian technology. This is unprecedented, Root said. The way you've adapted our crystalline matrices, the raw power transfer. It's not elegant, but it's brilliant in its simplicity. We have 49 more ships to save, Dr. Reed explained. We're hoping your engineers can help us improve the process as we wake more of your people. Root turned to face them, making a gesture that seemed to convey deep respect. You saved us by refusing to accept the impossible, by finding solutions where we saw only problems. We would be honored to work with you. Walker smiled. That's what humans do best. We find ways to make things work, no matter what. Now let's get started on the next ship. We've still got a lot of people to wake up. The rescue operation was proving successful, but they were far from done. With human determination and Meridian knowledge combined, they stood a real chance of saving everyone. News of the successful revival of the first Meridian ship spread quickly across Earth. Every nation responded with unprecedented unity. Within 24 hours, the space around the alien fleet had become a hive of activity. Walker stood at the command center they'd set up on the Meridian flagship, watching the steady stream of ships arriving from Earth. The massive screen before him showed green dots representing each vessel joining the rescue operation. Another supply convoy just arrived from the Mars colonies, Bill reported. They shut down 3 more mining operations to send us their power cores. Dr. Reed and lead engineer Root worked side by side at the main control station, their differences forgotten in the rush of shared purpose. The combination of human practical knowledge and Meridian technical expertise had improved their power transfer system dramatically. The modified converters are working much better now, Root said, gesturing at the holographic display. We can wake 2 ships at once with the same amount of power we used for one before. Dr. Reed nodded, checking the readings. And the process is safer too. No more overheating cables. She turned to Walker. Captain, we're ready to start the next phase. The next phase was ambitious. With the help of the awakened Meridian engineers, they had designed a chain of power distribution that would allow them to revive the remaining ships in groups. Earth's ships would power the first group, then those ships would help power the next group, creating a cascade effect. All stations report ready, Bill announced. The power grid is stable. Walker looked at Root. Are your people prepared? The Meridian made the gesture they'd learned meant agreement. The revival teams are in position on all target ships. We're ready. Begin power transfer, Walker ordered. The operation was like a carefully choreographed dance. Power flowed from the Earth ships through the improved converters, feeding into 6 Meridian vessels at once. Lights came on across the massive ships as their systems reactivated. More Meridians began to wake, and immediately joined the effort to save their people. From Earth's surface, millions watched live feeds of the rescue operation. Space stations and lunar bases redirected every spare bit of power they could. Ships that normally competed for mining rights now worked together, sharing resources and equipment. Message from Earth Command, Bill said, his voice filled with pride. The Chinese space station has diverted all non-essential power to us. The European Union is sending their entire rescue fleet. India has offered their new fusion plant's entire output. Walker watched as more green dots appeared on his screen. Humanity had put aside its differences, united in the effort to save another species. The sight of Russian ships working alongside American vessels, Chinese engineers collaborating with European teams, and Japanese technology merging seamlessly with Indian systems filled him with hope. Root approached Walker, watching the activity with wonder in their large eyes. We didn't expect this, the Meridian said softly. When our drive failed, we thought we were doomed. We never imagined another species would risk so much to save us. It's what we do, Walker replied simply. When someone needs help, humans come together. We figure out solutions, we share what we have, and we don't give up until the job is done. A cheer went up from the control room as another group of ships came online successfully. More Meridians were waking up, and many immediately volunteered to help with the revival of their remaining people. Captain, Dr. Reed called out, we're ahead of schedule. At this rate, we can have the entire fleet awakened within 36 hours. Walker nodded, watching as human and Meridian crews worked together seamlessly. What had started as a desperate rescue mission had become something more. Proof that different species could work together, that compassion and determination could overcome any technical challenge. Send word to all ships, he ordered. Well done, everyone. But let's not celebrate yet. We've still got work to do. The rescue operation continued, a testament to humanity's greatest strengths: innovation, cooperation, and the unwavering desire to help others in need. 3 days after the first successful revival, the scene around the Meridian fleet had transformed completely. All 50 ships were now powered up and functioning, their crews awake and active. The emergency was over, but the story was far from finished. Walker sat in a newly converted meeting room on the Meridian flagship, along with Dr. Reed and other key members of the rescue team. Across from them sat the Meridian Leadership Council, including Root, who had become their primary liaison with the humans. "We have reviewed the data from our quantum drive failure," Root began, displaying holographic diagrams in the air between them. "Your engineer's solution was unexpected but brilliant. No Meridian would have thought to use such basic power systems in that way." Dr. Reed smiled. "Sometimes the simple solution is the best one. But your quantum drive technology is amazing. The theoretical work behind it is decades ahead of anything we've achieved." The Meridian leader, whom they now knew as First Speaker Dawn, stepped forward. "This is why we have called this meeting. Our people have been discussing how to repay humanity's kindness. We believe we have found a way." The holographic display changed, showing complex equations and diagrams that made Dr. Reed's eyes widen. "You're offering to share your quantum technology with us?" "Yes," Dawn said. "But more than that. We see now that our peoples complement each other perfectly. We have advanced theoretical knowledge, but we became too focused on elegance and efficiency. We forgot the value of redundancy, of practical solutions. And we humans are good at practical solutions," Walker added, understanding where this was going. Root nodded. "Your people look at problems differently. You find ways to make things work, even if they're not perfect. Together, we could achieve things neither of our species could do alone." The meeting room buzzed with excitement as the implications became clear. The Meridians began sharing their advanced scientific knowledge, while the humans offered their practical engineering experience. Together, they started working on improving both human and Meridian technology. Later that day, Walker walked through the corridors of the flagship, now bright and full of life. Humans and Meridians worked side by side, learning from each other. In one room, Meridian scientists explained their quantum theories to fascinated human physicists. In another, human engineers showed Meridian technicians how to build backup systems and emergency overrides. "It's amazing how quickly they're learning from each other," Bill said, joining Walker on his walk. "The Meridians have already helped us improve our fusion reactor efficiency by 30%, and that's just the beginning." They passed a recreation area where off-duty crew members from both species were sharing stories. A Meridian was teaching a group of humans their traditional game that looked like three-dimensional chess, while nearby, some humans were explaining the concept of soccer to interested Meridians. Dr. Reed found them near the engine room, her face excited. "Captain, you need to see this. The Meridians have shown us their star charts, including their intended colony destination. It's perfect, a system with multiple habitable planets, just a few hundred light-years away." "Can they reach it?" Walker asked. "Their quantum drive." "That's the best part," she grinned. "With our improvements to their power systems and their quantum technology, we can help them get there safely. And they want us to come with them." First Speaker Dawn approached them, accompanied by Root. "We have discussed this with your Earth leaders," Dawn said. "We propose a joint mission, human and Meridian ships working together to explore the galaxy. We can learn from each other, grow together." Walker looked around at what had been accomplished in just a few days. Humanity had not only saved an alien species, but had gained powerful friends and allies. The future suddenly seemed full of incredible possibilities. "Together," he said, extending his hand to Dawn in the human gesture of agreement they had learned. Dawn reached out and clasped it, their different hands joining in a symbol of cooperation. The rescue mission had turned into something much bigger, the beginning of a partnership that would change both species forever. 1 month after the rescue of the Meridian fleet, the space around Earth had become a symbol of interstellar cooperation. The massive Meridian ships now orbited alongside human space stations, their crystal-like hulls reflecting Earth's sunlight. In the flagship's main conference room, Captain Walker watched as Dr. Reed and lead engineer Root presented their latest achievement to a mixed audience of humans and Meridians. "The combined quantum fusion drive is ready for testing," Dr. Reed announced, showing holographic diagrams of the new engine. "We've taken the best of both our technologies, Meridian quantum theory with human practical engineering." Root pointed to various parts of the design. The human backup systems and safety measures ensure we won't face another fleet-wide shutdown, and the power output is beyond anything either of our species has achieved alone. The presentation was interrupted by excited murmurs as the first test results appeared on the screen. The new drive could travel faster than either species had thought possible, and do it safely. First Speaker Dawn stood up. Then it is time. We shall begin preparations for the joint mission to our new home system. The next few days were filled with activity. Earth's ships were being upgraded with the new technology, while Meridian vessels received human-designed safety systems. The fleet that would make the journey was a mix of both species ships, crewed by human and Meridian teams working together. Walker found Bill in the communication center, coordinating with Earth's Space Command. "How are the preparations going?" "Better than anyone expected," Bill replied with a smile. "Every major nation on Earth wants to be part of this. We're getting volunteer crews from every space program. The hard part is choosing who gets to go." In the engine room, Dr. Reed and Root were making final adjustments to the flagship's new drive system. The once messy combination of human and Meridian technology had evolved into something elegant yet practical, beautiful yet sturdy. "It's amazing how far we've come in just a month," Dr. Reed said, looking at their work. "Your people's theoretical knowledge combined with our practical experience, we've achieved in weeks what might have taken each of our species decades alone." Root made the Meridian gesture of agreement. "That is why this mission is so important. Together, we can explore the galaxy in ways neither of our peoples could have imagined before." The day of departure arrived. The joint fleet hung in space above Earth. 20 Meridian ships and 20 human vessels, ready to make history together. Each ship carried mixed crews, sharing knowledge and learning from each other. On the flagship's bridge, Walker stood with Dawn, watching the final preparations on the main screen. Earth's nations had united to bid farewell to the fleet, broadcasting messages of hope and good wishes. "Are you ready, Captain?" Dawn asked. Walker looked around the bridge. Human officers worked alongside Meridian crew members as if they'd been doing it their whole lives. The universal translators were barely needed anymore. Both species had started learning each other's languages. "All ships report ready," Bill announced from his station, now shared with a Meridian communications officer. "Drive systems are powered up and stable." Dr. Reed's voice came over the comm from engineering. "Quantum fusion drive is operating perfectly. Root says we can start the countdown." Walker smiled. "Send the signal to all ships. Begin countdown for quantum jump." As the numbers counted down, he thought about how much had changed. What had started as a rescue mission had led to humanity's greatest leap forward. They hadn't just saved the Meridians. They had found friends among the stars, partners in exploration. Quantum jump in 3, 2, 1. The new drive hummed to life. Around the fleet, space itself seemed to bend and twist. In a flash of light that could be seen from Earth, the ships vanished into quantum space, beginning their journey to the new colony system. Humanity and the Meridians had started their greatest adventure together. It was more than just a journey to a new home. It was the beginning of a future where different species could work together, learn from each other, and explore the galaxy as one. The rescue mission was complete, but the story of human and Meridian cooperation was just beginning.